The B&M Wing Coaster is arguably one of B&M's best models. The gimmick of being on the side of the track and off the track appeases everyone. Not only this, but it's the best B&M model just to look at. The wing element allows for perfect near and miss elements, and the trains just look so sick. To add the cherry on top, some of these pull very good forces. So in today's video, we'll be going through all 18 B&M Wing Coasters, including the new for 2023 ones, and rank them on a scale from worst to best. In the last spot and in the number 18 spot is none other than Mythica Coaster. This new for 2023 B&M Wing Coaster has been called by some a junior wing coaster. Now that should already be enough information to tell you why it's in the last spot. It's really small and more meant for children than for enthusiasts. I think this is a great introductory coaster and a great coaster for someone's first inversion, and it's interesting to see the versatility of the wing coaster model. But let's be honest, this is not going to be that good. The top speed is like 30 miles per hour and the most G's pulled is 2.2. It's not going to be amazing, but it will do just what it's supposed to do. In the number 17 spot is the new 2023 Chessington Wing Coaster. This one is going to be themed to Jumanji, and it's supposed to be another, I'm going to say, family wing coaster. From what I've heard, it's another shuttle coaster and it's going to be a little more intense, but not too intense. The information we know about it is extremely limited. RCD lists it as having an inline twist and that downward helix that we have seen in the concept art. It's not much, but I'm going to put my money on it being more intense than Mythica Coaster. Wild Eagle falls into the number 16 spot. This is an out and back B&M wing coaster located at Dollywood. Now it falls far in the rankings for two main reasons. One, there's no real solid element that hits. There's no near misses, the elements are not that forceful. And two, you lose the pacing at the end of the layout as it meanders around. The only nice thing about Wild Eagle is a nice look at the trains and it being a terrain coaster. Otherwise, yeah, it's not that good. Next up is Parrot Coaster. This is where I need to point out that a lot of B&M wing coasters are in China, and we can only speculate how they ride. So here's my best guess, but it's a pretty accurate guess. Parrot Coaster falls short for similar reasons as Wild Eagle. There's a lot of meandering. This layout only has 3 inversions, and the inversions are few and far between. It takes quite a bit of time to go into the next inversion, and that kills the pacing for some. Furthermore, the elements look pretty mid, except for that final inline twist that looks to give some wicked hang time, though you have the best restraints, so it's a blood rush to your head simulator. But besides this, the other rewarding aspect of the ride has to be the theming, but then again, it's not out of the world theming. Staying in China and in the number 14 spot is Da Vinci Ride. This B&M is rather interesting. Once again, it feels like the elements don't hit that well. There looks to be some good positive moments in the valleys, and even a solid pop of airtime. But the inversion choices are rather interesting. 0G roll, cutback, corkscrew. None of these are really intense inversions, and is why this falls into the bottom half. In the 13th spot is Gatekeeper. This may be a little more controversial, but here it is. Gatekeeper is good, and a step up of all the previous wing coasters. There's a lot less meandering and just has a lot more packed in the layout. 6 inversions, multiple near-miss elements. It's good. The best part about it though is really just the view walking into the park. It's not overly intense, it's just a good, smooth, fun ride. Next up is a coaster that is a lot more unknown. In fact, the name is not known at all. This is the wing coaster at Hokko Dreamworld in China. There's no POVs or anything, and never really opened, but from the few pictures we have, I can see this is a short but sweet wing coaster. The wing overdrop straight into a vertical loop looks to be an intense and disorienting series of elements. I mean, this whole coaster packs 5 inversions into an extremely small space, so like, yeah, it's gotta be somewhat good. In the 11th spot is Heaven's Wing. This is literally a clone of the prior wing coaster in Hokko Dreamworld, so it's in this spot for literally the same reason. Forceful inversions packed into a small space. This one is better because it actually opened. Starting our top 10 is the first ever wing coaster, Raptor. Now, contrary to the thing I was criticizing in the bottom wing coaster, this coaster meanders so much and has such a pointless layout. The reason why it's top 10 is because it uses the gimmick of the wing coaster perfectly. There are multiple near-miss elements, the highlighting one has to be going between the 2 trees. This coaster is just themed perfectly and has so many interactions with terrain and physical sets. So yeah, this is what you're supposed to do with the wing coaster and something you will see more of in the top half. In the number 9 spot is Flying Wing Coaster at Happy Valley. This wing coaster is pretty boring. I mean, the elements hit, it's a good layout, it's forceful, it's intense, but it's just boring. There's no theming, no interactions with the terrain, no near misses. This is missing everything I love about wing coasters. I mean, sure, it's a good coaster, but it's not a good ride. Also, that color palette is hella goofy, burns my eyes just looking at it. Next up is X-Flight. X-Flight is rather interesting. It's a very short but sweet wing coaster. Every element hits well. There's 2 moments of meandering, but it's nothing to criticize. The thing that makes it so good is the near misses. Going through that control tower looks amazing and rides amazing. There's no real complaints here except it being on the shorter side. In the number 7 spot is the clone of the number 9 spot, Forest Predator at a different Happy Valley. And the thing that is different between Forest Predator and the bright green monstrosity is that Forest Predator has theming, and it has enough theming to make it better and put X-Flight in between the 2 clones. Another thing that Forest Predator has is it runs its back row backwards, which can add a unique twist to the experience. One thing that's really funny is the near miss element with the mouth. It looks really goofy, but it's unique and that makes it good. Next up is Swarm in the 6th spot. This coaster is located at Thorpe Park, and it has to be my favoritely themed wing coaster. That's not a word, but who cares. I'm obsessed with zombie apocalypses. You can ask any of my friends that. So this theme fits in perfectly. I love the physical sets and the integrated near miss elements. It's just all perfect. And on top of this, the layout delivers. RCDB lists the max force on this as 4.5 Gs, and that's tied with I-305, so it's saying something. All the elements hit pretty well, and without a mid-course brake run, I would say it's another short but sweet ride. The top 5 starts with the wing coaster at Colorful Union Paradise. This looks to be yet another short but sweet, well-sequenced wing coaster. All the elements look intense and hit pretty well. The highlights definitely are those pairs of near-miss elements between the temples. Not only does it look cool, but it rides cool. The theming is good. My only complaint would have to be that the end meanders a little bit too much. In the 4th spot, we have Flugder Dämonen. This B&M wing coaster looks to have a solid layout filled with positive Gs, hang time, and even what looks to be some good airtime. Not only this, but this coaster is located in a very nice looking environment and is fun to watch. Also, that demonic knot, besides having a cool name, looks like a wicked pair of 2 inversions. Next up in the 3rd spot is Thunderbird. Of course, this has to be the most unique B&M wing coaster. I mean, it's the only one with a launch. It's the only B&M with an LSM launch. I've always thought of B&M as being really heavy and chugging through the layout. Thunderbird literally exists to prove me wrong. The launch is forceful and the elements are very whippy. The positive Gs are good and it's an overall well-rounded coaster. It even has some of the best signature near-miss elements with that old shack in the back. My only complaint is that the color is fading and it's now an ugly brown, and it's starting to obtain a little bit of a rattle. I know I'm weak, but yeah, solid coaster all around. Number 3 wing coaster. The silver medal goes to Phoenix. When I see a B&M wing coaster, this is the perfect cover title. The environment is absolutely stunning. Probably one of the best coasters in terms of natural scenery. It seriously looks so good. The airtime hill and roll over the water looks straight from a piece of concept art. Coaster-wise, it's short but packs in one hell of a punch. There's no real dead moment as every element delivers strong, sustained positive Gs. Also, I have to mention the short dark ride section does some works to build the hype. Some say this is the best B&M wing coaster, but there is one that I think is still better than this. The number 1 B&M wing coaster and the gold medal goes to Falcon at Wuxi Sunukland. Yes, Falcon wins the number 1 spot as the best B&M wing coaster. I think this wins by a long shot. The first half has amazing elements filled with positive Gs. It's some of B&M's finest work. I wouldn't say better than Phoenix, but on par with. The thing that makes this so good is the theming. The ride is if Disney built a wing coaster. Wuxi Sunukland built an entire mountain that the wing coaster is centered around, and it just looks so good. I probably can talk about it forever. I criticize the other wing coasters for meandering, and yes, this one kinda does after the mid-course brake run. There's a short section, but it goes through the mountain, so that makes up for everything. And that slow roll through it as well, it's just perfect. Trains kinda look like a rip-off Wild Eagle, but man oh man, you can't tell me that this is the best B&M wing coaster because it actually is. That's all for today's video, guys. As always, make sure to like and subscribe. I'll see you in the next one. Have a great rest of your day. Goodbye.